Hi, Gil from Testing Gil here. When you start testing an AI service, it can feel really complex. With unpredictability coming from the model, this kind of messes with everything we know about testing. The trick is to break it down. The thinking is simple. We separate our code, which we can control, from the models that we can't. In fact, we need to build the code this way in order to be able to test it. That separation is intentional. If we can test the code that we write, we gain enough confidence that it works. Then we can turn to testing the model. And we're going to test the indeterministic parts using different techniques. We'll know at least that if there are any problems, it's not in our code because we tested it. Therefore, our efforts should be more about solving the problem with the model. So, here's the layered approach. The first two layers are in our code. Let's talk about plumbing first. This is the code that calls the model. It also handles errors like API errors around the call and any other thing that it needs to do in order to keep the interaction with the model safe. For example, managing retries. To make sure that the plumbing works, we're going to use testing skills like API testing skills or unit testing skills that we already have. We can mock the calls to the model to make sure that the plumbing code doesn't crash or misbehave. Here's a bit of code of my API analysis object. It's a function that calls the model directly and catches any errors that it might throw. Now I want to write a test that checks my error handling code. In order to do that, I'll patch or mock the call to the model and make sure that the result is returned as I expect. So we check that our agent code is handling any error gracefully when the model shuts down, for example. It returns an empty list instead of crashing. Next is the scaffolding. This is our code that has some kind of logic beyond calling the model. It handles some kind of analysis of the response and doing something with it. To test this kind of logic, we fake a predictable answer from the model and see that the logic itself returns what we expect. In our example, these are bits of code that handle the response, parse it, and return a list made out of the answers. Although these bits are embedded inside the code, I can still make sure that they're working by mocking the model. For example, this test checks that the entire method, including all the logic bits, is working, assuming that the model returns a proper answer. Only when the plumbing and the scaffolding are working up to our standards, then we can move on to testing the entire experience. Because now we have the confidence, we know that our code works. Now, all that's left to test is the dark matter in the model. Trivial, right? Check out the links below for the webinars when I'm going deep diving into testing AI products. Now tell me, do you design your code this way so you can check the scaffolding and the plumbing separately from the model? What do you do if it's not? Thanks for watching. If you like this video, like, subscribe, share it, and watch other videos on this channel. Until next time, bye-bye.